Hi, my name is Johnny and I'm one of the PMMs in Check Point's Hybrid Mesh department. And today I want to introduce you to the new truly exciting integration between Illumio and Check Point and show you how it looks in real life. But first, some background. The term changing threat landscape is often thrown around in our industry, but this is no longer a slop opener for age-old issues. We truly are in a new world. First, there's the new architecture that underlays companies' productivity and revenue, multi- and hybrid cloud environments, where a single application or service can be spread across workloads that span completely different underlying infrastructure with no real perimeter to speak of, fuzzy trust boundaries that blur the lines between north-south and east-west traffic, and a multitude of security controls that are almost impossible to keep in sync. All of which practically begging attackers to burrow their way through our networks until they get to their coveted end goal, whether it's for stealing your data or hijacking your workloads. And then there's the breach itself, or rather where it starts and how. And here AI really did upend everything, with CVEs overtaking all other points of entry, where attackers take advantage of CVEs that have POCs that are published well before you have time to remediate them. And of course, AI is also making more people more adept at hacking in general. So more points of entry, more attackers, and attacks that move faster than ever. And it's not just people using GPT to write exploits with high-end models. This is now a world where open source, open weights models can run locally on the machine they're trying to hack in order to move laterally within your network, exploiting CVEs and loose zero-trust policies. And without burying the lead, thinking about preventing CVEs from being exploited and attackers moving laterally comes down to numbers and architecture. Starting with numbers, in this case prevention, Check Point is by far the true industry leader using AI to provide companies with unmatched threat prevention. And mind you, these numbers don't just block threats, they also solve the CVE remediation gap. Because with these numbers, your threat prevention acts like a virtual patch on issues until you tend to them. Then, after you did your best to prevent breaches, it's time to contain them at the most granular level possible, the workload-to-workload level, which is exactly what Illumio does, reducing blast radius by 66%, the attack surface by 80%, providing you with unmatched visibility across your hybrid environments, and now, with our new integration, reducing policy management pains by 90%. And let me show you how. Starting with Check Point's Hybrid Mesh Firewall, where you have a single firewall in multiple form factors sharing the same policies through a single management console with logs and events correlated from all corners of your network, no matter if it's in the public cloud, some self-hosted private cloud, your data center, or branch firewall, ensuring that you can apply consistent, conflict-free and repeatable policies across your entire estate, from your cloud data center to branches, including securing connections that create these environments with deep integrations into connectivity tools. And the Hybrid Mesh Firewall enforcement blueprint is sound. It's proven, battle-tested, and deployed with thousands of Check Point customers, from threat prevention to zero-trust policies, from north-south to east-west, and everything in between. But there are a few issues that we are confronted with here. First of all, the macro-segmentation provided by firewalls, hybrid mesh or not, is way too coarse, allowing attackers to move permissively within a trust zone until they find a way to move laterally between these trust zones using legitimate traffic paths. Then there's the question of how do you even create these trust zones when your deployments are based on network topology, while these trust zones are supposed to be based on application and traffic intent? And lastly, there's policy complexity. Because our modern environments are incredibly dynamic, with workloads literally popping in and out of existence, and with some apps being deployed to prod multiple times a day. Now, in the cloud, we're sort of lucky because if you have a solid cloud-native firewall like Check Points, then you can use tags or labels to construct rules. But once you get into multi-cloud, then tag hygiene starts becoming a time-consuming chore. And even worse, there is no equivalent on-prem. Devices there are still IP-based, so you're stuck in a mixed world. One that not only harms operations, but also leaves room for policy gaps and policy drift. And in step Illumio. And the first thing it does is to segment, or more accurately, micro-segment environments down to the workload level, so you don't have blind spots within trust zones. But even better, Illumio's micro-segmentation is based on application context and traffic intent rather than network topology, meaning that when attackers gain a foothold in an environment, their movement is constrained, eliminating their ability to escape from a workload and borrow their way through legitimate network traffic. Also, in Illumio's world, where the workload sits is irrelevant. You can bundle all the workloads associated with a given app with environment-agnostic labels. So a container in a Kubernetes cluster on AWS that is connected to workers in the Nutanix cloud hosted on Azure that queries database servers in your on-prem data center can all be grouped together under one policy devoted to the app that needs this specific traffic flow. And this is achieved by Illumio's consistent and dynamic labeling model that is abstracted from the network, including the ability to assign multiple tags for each workload based on its type, its role, its function, and of course, the app that it serves. And now, thanks to our integration, Check Point firewalls can import these labels to wrap its 100% effective threat prevention around these segments. So your macro-segmentation and threat prevention rules are now bound to IP-free labels provided by Illumio, from cloud to on-prem and back, not based on brittle IP-based rules, but based on context, on traffic patterns, granular labeling rules, and on AI-assisted classification. And finally, now that your macro-level threat prevention is aligned with your micro-level segmentation and containment, telemetry and incidents are fed back into Illumio to provide additional context, enriching Illumio's unmatched cross-environment visibility with policies and incidents coming from across the hybrid mesh network. Now, up till now, we had this nice symmetric diagram showing the hybrid mesh network, right? Well, now I want to show you what it really looks like. And here it is, a mess of tangled traffic connections stretching across workloads and environments. And this is where Illumio comes in to save the day. You just click Group By, select what you want to group this mess by, from labels to asset types, and poof! All the mess sorted out, with cloud servers, on-prem servers, and endpoints neatly sorted. And now, when you zoom into any of these and select a given workload, other than all the attributes and enforcement policies for that workload, you can also see the labels by which Illumio sets its segmentation policies. And if you go into Check Point's management console, where we can import objects, and specifically Illumio in this case, you select it, you can go, drill in, and use Illumio's own labels from across the hybrid mesh. And once you select it, that's it. Your firewall rule is now bound to the same dynamic contextual labels that Illumio uses. And under the hood are all the IP addresses associated with this label. And now, no matter how many assets are removed or added, or how many of them are spread across completely different environments, as long as they are tagged with this label, Your firewall rule will apply, never breaking and never drifting, and always aligned with Illumio's fine-grained contextualized micro-segmentation. And speaking of context, going into Illumio Insights will show you exactly where your firewall is placed and what it connects to, closing the loop between threat prevention, threat containment, enforcement, and visibility. Thank you very much for your time.